Some films capture the imagination, not just through their stories, but through the sheer craft of their filmmaking. Independence Day is one of those films. Released in 1996, it arrived at a fascinating crossroads in cinema, a time when practical effects were reaching their peak and digital technology was just beginning to show its potential. In this behind-the-scenes breakdown, we'll be examining scene by scene how the filmmakers blended these techniques to create something truly memorable. When audiences watched New York, Los Angeles, and Washington, D.C. get obliterated in a single wave of alien fire, most assumed it was pure CGI. But in reality, director Roland Emmerich relied heavily on practical effects. For the destruction scenes, the visual effects team constructed enormous miniature city models. Entire city blocks were recreated in detailed scale, buildings, streets, cars, traffic lights, everything. To create the sweeping wave of fire traveling through cities, the team invented what became known as the Wall of Destruction technique. Instead of laying miniatures horizontally, they mounted sections vertically, like a standing wall. Explosive charges were placed at the bottom. When detonated, fire and smoke naturally traveled upward due to gravity, but through careful cameraing position, it appeared on screen as if a horizontal wave of destruction was racing through the city streets. This clever trick gave the destruction a massive, unstoppable force. The explosions were filmed at extremely high frame rates, up to 300 frames per second, instead of the standard 24 frames per second. When played back at normal speed, the blast appeared heavier, slower, and more powerful, making the destruction feel enormous and realistic. After the practical explosions were shot, the footage was digitally composited with live-action plates, including helicopters, fighter jets, skies, and alien ships. Additional CGI enhancements were added to extend fire, debris, and energy beams. Combined with thunderous sound design and a dramatic orchestral score, the result became one of the most iconic destruction sequences in film history. The reason these scenes still hold up today is simple. They're not just pixels. They're real fire, real debris, real physics, enhanced digitally, not replaced. Also, the destruction of the White House is the most iconic moment in Independence Day. For this scene, the visual effects team built a 1:24 scale model of the White House, nearly 10 feet wide. The model was fully detailed on the inside, with miniature furniture, pillars, and interior walls, so that when the explosion happened, the debris would look as realistic as possible. More than 40 carefully placed explosive charges were installed inside and around the model to create a powerful chain reaction style blast. To capture the moment, the crew used multiple high-speed cameras shooting from different angles. Each camera ran at a different frame rate, so the editors could choose the most dramatic slow-motion shots. When the explosion was triggered, the entire model was destroyed in a single take. It was literally a one-chance shot. The raw footage was later enhanced with color grading, added smoke layers, and digital fire effects. What you see on screen is not just a physical explosion, but a blend of miniature destruction, CGI smoke, digital compositing, and sound design. This combination is what makes the scene feel so massive and believable. The White House destruction in Independence Day relied far more on real miniatures, practical explosions, and clever camera techniques than on CGI. That's why, even nearly 30 years later, the scene still feels real, and in many ways, even more powerful than modern digital effects. In Independence Day, the alien invasion isn't about destruction, it's about dominance. The invading race arrives with two primary war machines, the colossal city destroyers and the smaller, highly aggressive attacker ships. While the city destroyers loom over entire cities like hovering gods, it's the attackers that bring speed, chaos, and aerial terror to the battlefield. Director Roland Emmerich was very clear from the beginning. He didn't want traditional flying saucers or anything that resembled classic sci-fi ships, no shiny metallic UFO cliches, no Star Wars-style spacecraft. He wants something ancient, organic, and threatening. Ships that felt grown rather than manufactured. In the early concept sketches, the City Destroyer was designed as a massive circular disc with a hollow center. The hollow core eventually became the source of its devastating energy weapon, the beam that wipes out entire cities in seconds. The surface of the ship wasn't smooth or metallic. Instead, designers added alien hieroglyphs like carvings, grooves, and vein-like mechanical patterns across its exterior. These details gave it a biomechanical appearance, almost as if the ship was a living organism. The goal was to make audiences feel like this wasn't human technology at all, but something ancient and extraterrestrial in origin. Even before CGI refinement, These detailed concept drawings lay the foundation for the ship's intimidating presence. If the City Destroyer is a floating fortress, the attacker ships are predators. For their design, the team studied insects and sharks, creatures known for speed and aggression. The attackers were given a sleek, arrow-like body with sharp, pointed edges. Their wings are slightly curved, giving them an organic, almost skeletal feel. The cockpit area was completely enclosed to hide the alien pilot, keeping the enemy mysterious and faceless. The design process started with detailed 2D sketches. Once finalized, the team built small 3D resin models of the ships. In behind-the-scenes footage, you can see these miniatures placed on turntables under studio lighting. These reference shots were crucial. They helped CGI artists understand how real light would reflect off the ship's surface. That practical reference made the final digital versions feel far more believable. To bring the attacker ships to life, the VFX team didn't rely solely on computers. Instead, they used a hybrid approach, combining miniatures, wire rigs, and CGI. Small-scale physical models were suspended using thin wires and filmed against blue screens inside a studio. In the behind-the-scenes clips, you can actually see crew members carefully positioning the model under controlled lighting before shooting. These practical passes captured realistic reflections and shadows that pure CGI struggled to replicate at the time. After filming, the wire rigs were digitally removed and the ships were composited into digital skies and battle environments. When multiple attackers engage in combat with human fighter jets, early computer animation systems were used to simulate large-scale dogfights. This allowed dozens of ships to maneuver simultaneously with believable physics and synchronized movement. The Area 51 alien lab sequence is one of the most memorable and unsettling parts of Independence Day, and surprisingly, its impact doesn't come from heavy CGI. It comes from practical effects mastery. Director Roland Emmerich wanted the alien to feel physically present on set. Instead of relying completely on computer graphics, he chose to build real, full-scale creatures. The alien's design was developed by production designer Patrick Tatopoulos, who initially created two separate concepts, one resembling the classic gray alien, and another with a darker, biomechanical appearance. Rather than choosing one, they combined both ideas. The final concept featured a biological armor suit, and inside it, a smaller, true alien organism, almost like layered beings within one body. The outer alien suit was a full-scale animatronic creation. Its tentacles, neck movements, and facial expressions were controlled using hidden cables and hydraulic mechanisms. Puppeteers stood off camera, carefully manipulating the creature to make it breathe, twitch, and react. For close-up shots, a highly detailed upper body puppet was used. This version had blinking eyes and subtle skin movement, giving it a disturbingly lifelike presence. For wider shots, a performer wore a whole bodysuit so the alien could physically interact with actors on set. Because the creature was physically present, the actors weren't reacting to green screens. They were reacting to something real. When the biological armor opens and the smaller alien emerges, a rod-controlled puppet was used. Thin metal rods and wires allowed the creature to twist its head sharply and move unpredictably. Its sudden, aggressive motions made the moment feel even more shocking. Since CGI was still limited in 1996, the filmmakers relied mostly on practical craftsmanship and only added light digital enhancements afterward. That's why the alien's slimy textures and organic mechanical blend still feel tangible today. In the background of the Area 51 lab, 3 additional alien bodies are displayed inside glass containment units. These weren't digital effects, they were life-size mannequins sculpted from rubber, foam latex, and fiberglass. Artists hand-painted veins, discoloration, and skin textures to make them appear biologically real. Placed inside glass tanks under cold laboratory lighting, these props naturally interacted with reflections, shadows, and condensation, something CGI struggled to replicate convincingly at the time. They weren't just set decoration, they added depth to the story, suggesting that Area 51 had been studying alien life for decades. Together, these scenes show why Independence Day remains iconic, whether through groundbreaking digital air battles or meticulously crafted animatronic creatures. The film balanced innovation with practical artistry, creating moments that still hold power nearly 3 decades later. So that's it for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the making of this sci-fi classic, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Eyes Recapped, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next behind-the-scenes breakdown. And tell me in the comments, which scene from Independence Day blew your mind the most? I'll see you in the next one.